No one has heard from 26-year-old LaDatra Williams since May 20th. She was last seen in Silver Creek, Mississippi, where she had traveled to visit her husband. Her family says during that trip, she stopped answering calls and texts. With 4 young children back home, they say silence from LaDatra is simply not like her.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of Hood Tales. In this video, let's take it to Silver Creek, Mississippi, to discuss the tragic story of a young woman who tried to escape her self-proclaimed Messiah husband after years of manipulation. But before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, this video is sponsored by me, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and my YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out. Look out for the link to it in the comments. Stay tuned until the end to hear the full story. Everything in this video is alleged. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. At just 26 years old, LaDatra Lachey Lynn Williams was a devoted mother of 4 and someone her family believed was on the verge of starting a new chapter. She wanted to be a doctor or maybe a teacher. She just knew she wanted to help people. That's how LaDatra's father, a U.S. military veteran, describes his daughter, known affectionately by her nickname, Shay. She loved the fall and winter seasons, family gatherings, the joy of Christmas, and the annual tradition of stairwell family photos. She was a college student studying business administration. Her dreams were simple but powerful: finish school, build a career, and give her children the stable life they deserved. But instead, in the summer of 2025, her life was cut short in a way that is as chilling as it is devastating. LaDatra's life began with tragedy. Her mother passed away from complications of childbirth, leaving her father to raise their daughter alone. As a military man, LaDatra's father often relied on his own mother and young sister to help care for LaDatra when he was deployed overseas. Together, they nurtured a bright, curious, and affectionate little girl who would grow into a young woman with ambition and heart. But what no one could have predicted was that LaDatra's maternal side of the family would unknowingly introduce her to the very man who would one day take her life. According to her father, LaDatra first encountered Charles Matthew Sims in her hometown of Vicksburg, Mississippi. At the time, LaDatra had just finished high school. She was only 18 years old, and Charles nearly 50. The connection came through her maternal relatives, some of whom were allegedly already entangled in Charles's mysterious and controlling world. In fact, one of LaDatra's own maternal aunts is believed to not only have been involved with Charles, but also to have children with him. This is where the allegations of conditioning begin. Charles allegedly targeted LaDatra when she was still a teenager. He was decades older, charismatic in a dangerous way, and presented himself as a spiritual figure, a man with answers, a man ordained by God. It was a manipulative dynamic masked as a relationship. Over time, LaDatra became one of his many romantic partners, eventually giving birth to 4 children of her own with him: Elijah, Alyssa, Elena, and Eli. To outsiders, Charles appeared to be just another man in rural Mississippi. But according to Ladetra's family, his world was anything but ordinary. Charles positioned himself as a self-proclaimed Messiah, telling his followers he was chosen by God to heal the world's problems. He kept multiple wives, at least 4 known partners spread across different states, and fathered more than 22 children, some estimates say as many as 31. Reports suggest he enforced bizarre practices within his group, wives and followers shaving their heads for spiritual rebirth, mud baths as punishment for supposed sins, and complete loyalty to Charles as the one true path to salvation. Relatives described his compound in Silver Creek, Mississippi as isolated, authoritarian, and dominated by Charles's rules. Women were expected to obey. Leaving was not an option. And yet, Ladetra began to dream of leaving anyway. By early 2025, Ladetra confided in her father that she was ready to end her relationship with Charles. She wanted to take her children, move back home, and start over. In fact, she had even asked her father if she and the kids could live with him. Ladetra's father was thrilled. He had long worried about her involvement with Charles, but always respected her boundaries. Now it seemed she was ready to break free. But freedom for women under the grip of controlling men like Charles often comes at the highest cost. One wife had allegedly tried to escape with her children before, but Charles manipulated her into returning. Another woman claimed she was punished for attempting to leave. On May 20th, 2025, Ladetra drove from Kansas City, Missouri, back to Silver Creek, Mississippi, to see Charles one last time. That morning, Ladetra texted her aunt. At 6:10 a.m., her aunt messaged, "Good morning, you okay? You straight?" Ladetra replied at 6:21 a.m., "Yes, about 30 minutes out." That would be her last communication. When her family stopped hearing from her, panic set in. Ladetra would never go silent for long. She video called her relatives frequently, especially to let her children connect with their loved ones. But now, nothing. Even more troubling, Ladetra had left her children in the care of one of Charles's other wives. Her aunt insists she would never have willingly done that. It was completely out of character. When Ladetra's father called Charles demanding answers, Charles admitted he had put his hands on her during an argument. He then claimed he dropped her off down the road from his house, but Ladetra's father was convinced. He knew his daughter was gone. For nearly 2 months, authorities searched tirelessly. Family members feared the worst. Meanwhile, disturbing rumors spread that Charles's group wasn't just a family, but something darker. A cult-like operation spanning multiple states. On July 11th, 2025, Charles was arrested. After nearly 8 hours of interrogation, he finally confessed. He told police investigators would never find Ladetra where they were looking, but if they followed him, he would lead them to her. On July 14th, 2025, at around 2 p.m., Charles walked investigators deep into the woods of Lawrence County, Mississippi. Hours later, at 11:30 p.m., authorities dug up a shallow grave. Inside, they found the remains of Ladetra Shea Williams. DNA testing confirmed her identity, bringing a tragic closure to her family. The young mother, who wanted nothing more than to finish school and raise her children in peace, had been buried by the man she trusted. The autopsy confirmed she had lost her life from blunt force. Charles was charged with first-degree hit and denied bond. He is innocent until proven guilty. But for Ladetra's father, the nightmare continues. His daughter is gone, but now he's desperately searching for his 4 grandchildren. Their whereabouts remain uncertain, and some fear they may still be under the control of Charles's network of wives. Meanwhile, investigators are probing whether Charles had connection to other disappearances and loss of life. His compounds in Mississippi, Missouri, Kansas, and Louisiana are being scrutinized. In the beginning, Ladetra's father was unaware of how deeply rooted the manipulation in the relationship between his daughter and Charles was. He only learned of the depths once this tragedy occurred.
Been contacting anyone who will listen. The feelings of guilt pile up because if I had thought about it, if I had known, I could have told her turn around. I've been told not to dwell on those things, but I'm a father. She's my first child. She's the person who made me a father.
Ladetra's father has been blunt about his feelings. Charles is no holy man. He is a manipulative pursuer who lured his daughter in as a teenager and robbed her of her future. May Ladetra Shea Williams rest in peace. My deepest condolences to her family. I send them my well wishes. Her father created a GoFundMe to assist with costs for her children's future once they reunite with family. The link will be in the comments if you feel inclined to donate. Her story is more than just a headline. It's a story of a bright young woman who lost her mother, who was raised by a devoted father, who loved family gatherings and dreamed of a career helping others. It's also the story of grooming, manipulation, and control. An opportunist, nearly 30 years her senior, lured her into his orbit, disguised as love, but built on coercion. And when she tried to escape, she paid with her life. Ladetra's slaying is both a tragedy and a warning. Her story forces us to confront difficult questions. Should authorities treat cult-like groups with more urgency before tragedies happen? There are no laws against starting or being a part of such organizations. You have a right to religious freedom. The next question is, how can young women be protected from manipulative pursuers when it often begins with trusted family connections? Lastly, how do we safeguard children from situations like this? And most importantly, do you believe Charles Sims acted alone, or were others in his inner circle complicit in what happened to Ladetra? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. The more awareness we bring to cases like this, the more we can warn others from falling into the same dangerous cycle. Ladetra's story deserves to be told, and her children deserves justice. Let's make sure her voice is not forgotten. Alright fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, consider liking and sharing. Subscribe for more stories like this and for the stories behind the headlines, because behind them all are lives forever changed. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times. Until next time.